Alright y'all, so what I did, quick update on the Caprice as far as the voltage goes. I put in a different wire, and my volts here have always kind of read, I think about 11, about a point less, a volt less, so about 11.2, something like that. And it already had went up a point here. So I don't know if this OBD2 port or this dongle there that I have reads a little bit different than like if you were just to plug into it. But anyways, it already jumped up a point. Also here I have this little USB thing, and it has a little digital reading on there as far as volts go, and that also jumped up too as well. It would always kind of read about high 12s to low 13s, and that also went up to almost 14. So that says something there for sure. And I have a video of me testing the voltage with that voltmeter, and I'll play that here next. But that also went up to about 14.5, kind of just stayed steady around there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook it back up the way it was and test it out and see if any numbers change, and then I'll chime back in. Alright y'all, so I'm back inside as I had to wrap up things to come inside and try to get ready for work here. But as you saw in my previous clips here, I was able to kind of diagnose some of the things as far as the charging system goes and the voltage. So what I did, as you saw in the previous clips, is I took a thicker wire, thicker gauge, something like, I don't know, maybe like 8 gauge or something like that, definitely bigger than what I had in there, and I installed it to from the alternator to the battery, because that's how I had it ran anyway. And the voltage seemed to go up immediately. So I tested it at the alternator, right about 14.5, you know, more or less. And then the volts on the on my OBD2 went up, and I also checked the voltage at the battery, and that read constantly over 14 as well. So it was kind of like 14.2, 14.3, it would bounce up and down, never really dipping below 14. And so I was like, let me hook up everything again, since I didn't get a clip of that. Let me hook up everything again like it was, and let me test that. So I hooked up everything again like it was, just like I took it to the tuner. And the voltage on the OBD2 port on my tablet went back down to normal, kind of where it was. It read in like the mid 11s or something like that before. But when I tested with the voltmeter at the alternator seemed to be charging just fine. You know, it read the same thing, like 14.5 volts. Also tested it at the battery, and the battery actually, at the battery, it went down to like 13.7, 13.8. So I'm not sure if the difference as far as the gauge and wire helped out or not. I believe it did, because of the obvious difference in the even the half a volt to a volt more. You know, I mean, there was some difference there for sure. So, however, I'm not sure if the alternator is going bad. It could be the regulator could be going bad. Maybe it's charging sometimes it's not. You know, I'm not sure. So just for assurance, I took it off. It's only on there by 2 bolts, and took off the plug and the wire, excuse me. And then I'm just gonna take it in. There's a local rebuild shop here that works specifically on alternators, so I'm gonna have him just diagnose it and kind of just look at it, just to alleviate that it is the alternator. You know, and it could be going out, and if it is, I think he rebuilds them, and I heard they're about like 45 bucks or something to get it rebuilt. So anyways, just cheap assurance. So it's already off right now. I took it off, and I'm gonna take it in the morning and kind of see what he says. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. You know, I don't know. I just didn't feel totally comfortable. At first, when I hooked up the wire, I was like, man, the charging system's back up. You know, the volts are up. I'm good to go. And if I never had checked it again, like it was, then I probably would have just ran with it. But I always like to kind of double and triple check things, so I'm glad I rechecked just to kind of see what the voltage was with it hooked up the way it was. And being that it's so close and there wasn't any huge variations in between, it kind of just makes me just want to get some more added assurance that the alternator is not going bad, or is going bad, and if it is, then I can address it then. So anyways, just another thing, just adding it to the list of things that I have to do. But all in all, you know, at least the car is home, and it didn't leave me stranded somewhere, and it was actually caught before here. And I'm actually doing a couple of road trips this summer with the car, so it's good to find this out now. So anyways, that's kind of what's going on with that. I'll keep you guys posted on that as well. I've been working on the motor for the Chevelle also too, so I'll have a video in regards to that. And but nothing really on the Chevelle itself besides my guy doing a little bit of body work at his house on a couple of the body parts. But other than that, the car itself has just been sitting under the canopy out here, and just been kind of just sitting there just waiting for me to attack it. So anyways, that's all, y'all. I'll holla at y'all later, and stay tuned, more to come.